Okay, cool. All right, Ace, are we ready?
Are we rolling?
Should I go toilet now or?
You need to go.
It's too late.
Can you hold it?
Yeah, I probably can.
That's such a me move.
I don't want to see you.
Okay, so welcome back, guys. Welcome back to Two Girls and a Mic. We've had a brief hiatus, but we are back, and we are back with a guest in the building.
Hello.
Hey, Ty. So introduce yourself.
Hello, my name is Ty. I'm a hip hop artist, enthusiast, and pioneer.
Wow.
And I'm here to vibe with you ladies and
Love it.
enjoy my time.
We like it. We're grateful to have you here. Okay, so Lara, what are we talking about this week?
Okay, so it's been a week. Team UK, the Urban Lot, they've had a rough week this week. I cannot tell a lie.
Of their own making.
Yeah, we need to discuss what has gone on at Radio 1 and one of their kind of up and rising stars, namely presenter Maya Jama.
Mm-hmm.
She was called out very recently in regards to some tweets that she sent when maybe she was about 16 and 17 that was very disparaging against dark-skinned women.
No, what do you know?
Yeah, and obviously once these were released, I don't know who released them or who found them or who used whatever app to dig them up, but they were dug
This
up
is a search feature.
and they were put out there, and all of a sudden, boom.
Right.
As you know,
Right.
when it comes down to colorism,
Mm-hmm.
it's a hot topic. Black Twitter went bananas. You know, she put out a statement apologizing for said tweets. The apology didn't go over too well simply because she acknowledged all women. It was very much an all lives matter tweet when essentially she only disrespected one group of people, which was dark-skinned black women. So they let her have it again. So therefore she then had to have another go at an apology. But by that time, the damage was already done. So I guess my question is, with several questions, there's so many questions because this has been going on for a while. Should Maya be held accountable for tweets that she sent when she was 16 years old? So Ty, as you're the guest, I'm going to give you the floor first.
Okay.
What do you think?
I think that the idea that someone did something when they were 16 and have grown up and developed, and then should they now be held accountable, doesn't really stand.
Right, okay, why is that?
I think that she should be held accountable for what she said. I think that she should actually be trying to engage and have dialogue to explain where she was at and where this came from, where this poisonous energy came from. She should be discussing it. And I think that what we're looking at is deeper than Maya, but unfortunately Maya's mistakes.
Maya was doing it for the likes.
Yeah.
So now she's in the middle of it.
Now she's
So
getting what she
needs to
doesn't
answer
like.
questions.
Yeah. So so for me, she now has to deal with, we now have to look at what it is and what triggered those type of things, and just really look at it. You know, it's all good just finger pointing, but the fact is, what I don't like about this whole situation is dark-skinned women are not being factored in
To the discussions, right?
in regard, because they are the actual victims of this attitude that not only Maya had, but a whole bunch of grime artists have that attitude.
And you
And
say
it's-
hads.
have are having, and I think it's something that people need to really discuss. A lot of people are like, oh, you don't pick on Maya, and it's like, no, she's a fully grown woman. She has a dark-skinned boyfriend who loves her dearly. Stand up and actually use this platform to speak about this silly attitude that you had, because you'll help a lot of people that are having it now. There's a lot of people that look up to you that are going to be disappointed by what you've been saying, and also you owe dark-skinned women a platform to discuss this hatred that you have contributed to and other people have been contributing to. So all of the other people that do it don't escape. You don't escape. It's this what Maya has done accidentally is created a black hole. And now it's time to look at everything that's in that black hole. Don't just look at Maya. We need to look at everybody that has this attitude that seems to love to make disparaging remarks about dark-skinned black women. We need to have that conversation.
Yeah. You know, the thing, what you just said, that's so really real. I think the thing that's really grating on me in this scenario is her silence, because she is a woman. Like sometimes with guys, I don't even, the ones that have like been caught out there, then they'll come back with some apology, and then you're just like, oh, whatever. You're just doing it. You're doing it for media smooth over. You're doing it to try and maintain your position in the industry and all of that kind of stuff. But I just feel like her particular silence as a woman speaks way too many volumes for me.
Yeah, it does.
So yeah, right? Because she lives in a particular space as the kind of woman that she is, with her racial makeup, with what she looks like. And she is primed to know other women that don't occupy that space. She only needs to read Twitter to see all the discourse. And she can say to herself, look, when I was out there doing Maya Jama presenter, and I'm the face of this and I'm the spokesperson of that, and I want to be seen and I want to be out there. You can't only do that when the going's good. This would be a good time for her if this is her chosen profession, to lead, to present, to be the face of stuff.
Go ahead, Ty.
To get out there and chat.
Also, you are a presenter, so
Right.
you know how to talk.
Exactly.
You know how to present TV programs. You know how to present radio programs.
Yeah.
But all of a sudden, you're silent.
That's kind of like part of what I'm saying.
That says
So
a lot.
Your part, so
That says a lot. You've got
in order to kind of like start to make amends, you think that she should address this like verbally, like
Yeah.
via like
Not-
do a
not-
film herself,
not just make
making a
amends.
statement.
Not just make amends. Use your ability.
Yeah.
You have an ability.
Yeah.
It's like being a boxer.
Yeah, yeah,
And then all of a sudden someone says, do a charity boxing match and you'll win the fight, and you're like, no, I won't do it. It's like, no, you've been caught out, but actually you're a presenter. So you talk. So the cat can't have your tongue now. Because now because either the cat's got your tongue because two things. Either you are shell shocked and don't want to lose your job and are worried about that, or two, you don't really care that much and you
And
hope
I'm
you
going
keep
for the
quiet.
second, yeah.
And you keep quiet and you hope it would die down. But guess what, babe? This thing ain't dying down.
It's
You know
not
what?
because
It hasn't, because I think she's recently got back onto Twitter, and I've just been going through her, obviously her tweets and stuff, not her tweets, but her Twitter timeline, rather than just seeing the replies to her. Mate, people, they don't. I think this colorism thing has been going on for so long that black women are just fed up,
they
and
should
there will be black women out there that will be like that will happily give her a pass and be like, okay, I'm
that's
cool
what
with
pure
it.
people capable.
And there'll
I'm
be other
surprised.
people be like, I'm not having it. And those
Yeah.
people there will not let you forget. And that's the thing with social media. It can be a gift and a curse sometimes. And the people that don't forget, every time you pop up on there, they're going to pop out to remind you.
Let's not forget that this thing's been happening a lot. So Leanna, have a seat. Yeah, I don't have Havas is her name, but I say have a seat.
Oh, yeah.
She messed up.
Yeah.
And when she messed up, she couldn't believe what she was hearing. But she never dealt with the situation. She tried to. There's a thing that we're tiptoeing around. I'm going to say it. Light skin privilege, or this privilege of, because I look a certain way, I'm not really black and I shouldn't feel.
Yeah, I get past and I can say
yeah,
what I
I know.
want.
And it's like, no, babe. Even if you think that, the truth of it is, today we can discuss the fact that actually this is an issue, and this is part of what even gave Maya the confidence to think she could say what she's saying. And I think that this is something we need to address. We need to address it. We need to start looking at it and saying, okay, where is this coming from? And is it valid? No, it's not valid. Okay, so we need you, who are the benefactors of this, to actually speak up. Don't just sit there pretty knowing that, the world works for me and people kind of like what I'm liking, or because there are light-skinned people as well that suffer, that are suffering in this situation and are absolutely not into this thing.
They
But
have a different form of colorism where they're kind of like held up on this really weird pedestal where they're just overly sexualized and like, you're supposed to be the sex pot and that is it.
And then there's
that's problematic as well.
And there's light-skinned women that are fighting right next to dark-skinned women for their own for women's rights, and for certain things as well. So it's like, this isn't a generalized, oh my god, light skin, dark skin battle. But the fact is, this situation right now, the thing that I was disgusted by is no men in my DMs were defending, you know what, dark skinned black women, are the victims here. Everybody was like, oh, you know, you need to go easy, or you need to, you know, no, maybe you need to do this a different way because you don't want to destroy what they built up. And it's like, babe, for real, or mate, for real, you really worried about what someone's built up? You're not worried about that 17-year-old black girl that read the tweet and that damaged her self-belief or confidence. You're not worried about her 6 years later?
Tell it like it is.
That's
okay, so what about, let me play devil's advocate. What about the, you know, the argument of, you know, Twitter back then and even now is very much open to cussing everybody. Like back then it was like a war zone, like black people, light skinned black people, dark skinned black people. You know, there's an argument that, you know, Somalians used to get it all the time. Nobody used to rate Somalian girls back in the day, blah, blah, blah. So everybody used to just get it. So does that not mean that, you know, it doesn't matter what was put out there,
So
in the, there and then?
Nah.
as a victim of the African jokes that were running 20 to 35 years ago, as a victim of that, I'd like to say that that is absolute rubbish.
Why is that?
It's rubbish because the idea that people are cussing a certain way, there's still an issue.
Yeah.
Because you're doing it doesn't mean, oh, it's just what young people do. It's actually like, it's
You've
like,
still got to read the messages.
it's still,
behind
it's
it.
like us saying, oh, well, you know, back in my day, mans was stabbing each other. It's just what it is.
Yeah.
No, there's still an issue. People are stabbing each other. It's not cool. So the point I'm making is this self-hatred, whether it's thrown about as schoolboy bantering or whether it's thrown about as teenage back and forth, is still poisonous self-hatred that will eventually consume the fate and destiny of black children growing up in the UK.
And that's what it amounts to, you know.
Yeah.
That's another thing of calling it what it is. It's self-hatred. It really is. And it maybe Maya doesn't see herself as black, so she can speak from that. But I really wonder about the people who got their capes out and flew
Batman.
to her defense.
Small,
I'm
medium,
like,
large,
Batman
extra
are
large
us.
capes
Right?
everywhere. Just flap,
Oh
flap,
my
flap,
god!
flap.
Like, you know what? To me, what I've learned is let people voice their
Yeah.
opinion and decide if you want to engage or have a conversation. Do it. If not, the reason why I highlighted these tweets wasn't because I'm anti-Maya or anti-like did it, but I was like, you know what? I had enough. I had enough because this thing that we're seeing is it's poisonous and it's been happening. There is a really poor energy towards black women, an anti-blackness that's in this new generation. It's been in the older generation too, and it's there from Channel U over to the music, whether it's, you know, all of the stations, and I won't mention stations, but it's there, and it's there in the lyrics. That if you listen to grime MCs, I'm not saying hip hop is not safe, but if you listen to it, you can see there's a definite attitude towards dark skinned women, towards lighties, or whatever, you know, all of this stuff, and it's poisonous. It's going to be to the detriment of us in the future.
I actually find, this is me personally, I actually find colorism worse than racism from non-black people, or shall I say white people, simply because I can understand it in the sense that if you're white and you live in an area where it's all white people and you only have, you know, media to go on what you think blackness is or what you think black people are, and if you say something racist, in my head I can rationalize that because I understand where you got that from. However, when it comes from within our own community, it's like, what are you doing? And also as well, colorism is like, it's an offshoot of just actual white supremacy. This is the remnants of it. This is what you are doing. You're doing this to your own people, and then to kind of like cover it up in oh, it's just banter. It's not banter.
Your mum.
It is not banter.
Your mum's.
Because if a white man was to disrespect you racially, you're not gonna say, oh, it's just banter. You're not gonna do that.
Your mum.
So you're doing
your mum.
It's not happening.
Your
So
mum
miss me
is
with
black.
the banter. Thank you.
Your
Thank
sister
you.
is
Everybody black, but it's just banter.
You can
Shut
have
up,
this
man.
hatred. You can have the, you know, the truth of it is, most of the guys that are throwing around these comments would never say this in front of their mums.
At all.
So straight away, if you wouldn't say it in front of your mum and you have respect for your mum, but you wouldn't say it, you know you're doing wrong.
Actually, do you know what? I'm going to take that back. Some of them probably would.
Yeah, they would, but that's the truth.
Some of them probably would.
That's
the level of disrespect that I'm seeing. I'm like,
but here's the
you
thing.
probably would say that to your mum, actually.
If you would say that to your mum, right, and you would do those sort of things, why should we allow you to willingly be heroes for our next generation?
This is true. And I'm like, if you want to say it to your mum, that's your business. You ain't saying it to me. How about that?
No, first of all, you're not saying it to my kids. My kids, my kids and my nieces and nephews are not running around with your lyrics. You're not running around to go and check your podcast.
How come people aren't? How come people there's the thing of, okay, you wouldn't say that in front of your mum, but genuinely, I'm shocked that. Why aren't people embarrassed by it? People haven't been. There are some things that you embarrass yourself out of.
Just like how they're saying it's normal for young kids to go through a phase of disrespecting black women. You need the growth process to grow out of that. That's the argument that people are coming up with. I'm like, what? You mean to say there's a time in your teen years where allegedly you're supposed to have a self-hatred. And then there's another space in time where you're supposed to allow yourself to grow out
Awakening.
of that. Where did that happen? What logic is this? Yeah. Please stop the nonsense. Yeah. Just accept the fact that you did what you did. If you've grown up and you've been
entrenched in self-hatred.
I accept the fact that you can grow up and people can teach, you can be educated, and you can be like, you know what? The nonsense I was on back then was a foolishness. But then own it then. Don't come with your nonsense.
Own it. Like if you was going on a certain way and you get found out now and then you get upset that you've been found out, then you didn't learn anything.
Yeah. Right.
Because let me put it to you like this. Because someone was saying to me, but you can't hold someone accountable when they change and grow. And this is what I didn't say, but I wanted to say to my guy. So if a guy rapes a girl when he's younger, and then suddenly grows up and realizes, you know what, rape is wrong, and records a song about rape is wrong, does that mean the person that was raped isn't a victim, didn't feel nothing? Where is your concern? Is your concern for the person that wrote a song and has had their awakening, or are you thinking about the person that actually went through something and is and gone through something? So a rape victim doesn't matter if the rapist suddenly learns and changed and awakened and realised that rubbish.
Okay, so to wrap this up, what should actually happen with Maya then? What should the consequences be, if there should be any consequences
Over
at
to
all?
Cheryl.
I think for because of her failure to speak out, because this is why I'm really, anyway, I won't talk about what I'm gonna do, but this is why people need good advisors, because actually this was sometimes it sounds so cliched, but this really was a teachable moment for her.
It was.
And just the position that listen, the wave that she could have rode, the glorious wave that she could have rode from taking it on board, making a proper apology.
Throw your hands up in the air.
Wave them like you just don't care. And also use your privilege. I'm not talking about your physical privilege. I'm talking about the privilege of the position that you occupy to say, you know what? I'm going to tell you how this happened and I'm going to now talk against it.
I'm going to make a TV program.
There's so many things
you can do.
There's so many things. Don't be posting up pictures of sunsets. I don't want to hear that. And like you said earlier, this is how I feel. I feel like if I ever just see her back in the media, if this is not cleaned up properly with any kind of microphone in her hand talking or whatever, I'm going to turn off. I'm going to emotionally shut down. I don't want to hear what you've got to say, because what you've got to say is folly, it's foolishness, it's flawed. When there's something important that you've got to say, suddenly you're shrinking into the background. You're like Homer Simpson in that bush. So why should I listen now?
Oh, dear.
So I'm definitely for equality as well, in a sense of what has happened to other people that have gone before her.
That's where I was going.
If she can't come and speak out, she just needs to get sacked.
I need someone to explain to me how, if Logan Sama goes through what he goes through, if the other guy that we talked about before
the Asian
goes through
presenter.
what he goes through,
His name,
what
sorry.
in the hell is different about what Maya's going through right now that allows her to skip conviction? Someone needs to. All I'm saying is, I'm not saying you can't do it. I just want you to write it out for me.
You know what it is? Shall I tell you what it is?
No, I want them to write it out. Don't give them the novel, the words, the narrative to get out of trouble.
Yeah, no, I'm not.
Yeah.
I'm not. What I'm gonna say is it's because of their fundamental misunderstanding, and not even misunderstanding, their fundamental inability to understand what this is. So when I say that, you know, I just feel like white people and white liberals in this country just pay lip service to racism. They don't even really understand what racism is. It's not about the N-word and all of this. It's about systems and structures
And power.
which are designed and function perfectly as it appears to be in this country to keep a certain kind of person suppressed and oppressed.
So what you're going to see now is the power of the BBC to say, do you know what? We know what's supposed to happen right now, but we're not going to do it.
It's not
That's
even,
power.
you know what? It's not even that. It's
Yeah.
so then they're going to, because they're just so, don't get it. They're going to look, but Maya, she's a woman and she's black. So maybe it's not as serious as when these white men, I feel like the Logan, Logan and the other guy, I feel like those were knee-jerk reactions. Those weren't really understanding what happened and what the issue was. It was just like, okay, we
need to
know
be
this
seen to do
bad,
something.
we must do this.
Right.
This
So I think
bad,
'cause
we
Logan's
must do
white
this.
as well,
That's
it's like,
exactly it.
No, we can't have
so
that.
they just
And
see it as
but
a
they
fun,
don't understand the inner workings of colorism because it's within our
Yeah.
community. They don't understand our community.
This
They
is
only have a
they don't realize
basic-
that this is a red card too.
Yeah.
So my thing is, I want her to learn from her mistakes, but I'm going to be really honest. From what I've seen and what I've, the reactions, three reactions. So the first reaction to the bad apology,
yeah.
then the second apology, and then subsequently how she's acted from this point onwards. I've just been like, yo, this was a Chris Brown, Rihanna teachable moment. This is what I mean by this. Rihanna's PR people were on the ball. As soon as she got hit, you saw the picture. Chris Brown's people weren't on
they
the
were
ball.
terrible.
It took them 2 months before they realized, we should do something. We should do something. And Chris Brown, he nearly lost his career. And, you know, he deservedly nearly lost it. But the teachable moment is, where's your PR people? And even your PR people can't save you. You belong to a group of people, including ourselves. And you're not repping right now. And because you're not repping right now, red card, babe.
All right, let's wrap this up. I would just say that I know that people are listening to this. Oh, Lord knows Maya, blah, blah. Yes, I know Maya. So I'm not going to speak on this because actually it's quite personal to me. But what I will say is that I'm really disappointed. And I hope you do, as Ty and Cheryl says, you learn from this because colorism is no joke. I know that she's fully aware of that herself. She's spoken about growing up as a Somalian girl in Bristol, where the majority of people that live there are white. So I know she's aware. So I would just say to Maya, I hope you do learn, and I hope you listen to both Cheryl and Ty in regards to how you can rectify this problem, because you're going to always have this problem if you don't clean it up.
Over.
Okay. Holler at me, babe.
Yeah.
Holler at me.
Okay, so let's move on. Like I said, it's been a rough week for Team UK and Urban Scene, whatever it is that you want to call them, because another station, Radar Radio.
Right.
Listen, everybody's falling like dominoes over there. Literally falling like dominoes. I think I was on Twitter, and then I saw a podcast, the Receipts podcast. They put out a statement saying that they're no longer recording from there. So initially, I didn't actually bat an eyelid at that. I was like, okay, cool, because I thought it was just them. Then I started seeing other people who record from there, and it's like this person, that DJ, this presenter, and everyone was like blah 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 blah. So I thought, okay, let me pay more attention.
I've never seen that many DJs
in my
leave
life
a station in one day. I've never seen it. And to me, whatever Radar do, they need to realize that they have really messed up. Because
so the allegations have been allegations of sexual misconduct, and also in the wake of that, not really handling it right, and also racial issues as well, like racial discrimination as being shown in terms of not just pay but also
black women
positions and black women and all the rest of it. So it's like
so let's say this is the thing. Just a quick jump in. I love the solidarity. If you consider what the actual problems was, the action, the solution was for a whole bunch of people to say, do you know what? We don't want to be here. I think that's so important. I think it's important because most platforms that we're in, most people in the jobs that they can't do that. They can't act. They can't protest. They, you know, we watch loads of people in different positions. They can't do nothing. So to watch a bunch of DJs turn around to a station and say, do you know what? Thank you for the platform, but we can't stay here. Yeah. You guys are too much. I think that sends a brilliant message.
It does.
It sends a powerful message.
It does.
And it sends a message that other people in other fields should take confidence from. Like sometimes you need to Martin Luther King it straight up and down.
Sometimes you got to have the courage of your convictions and just go. And I feel like that is kind of like sadly lacking. And I'm not even putting myself out there like as somebody who's always... I mean, luckily, I don't feel like I've ever been in those kind of positions to have to like really say, wow, am I going to leave my place of actual employment or anything like that? But I just feel like as an observer, so I have to preamble it with that because it might be easier to say than to do. As an observer, you're absolutely right. It is a powerful sign. And I think more people should really do it. It's just like recently, so we've heard in the news that R. Kelly's publicist, we discussed R. Kelly on the last show, his publicist and his lawyer have dropped him as a client, and apparently two crisis management firms have kind of like turned him down.
Right.
And to me, it could be what I said off mic. It could just be sinking ship, let's save ourselves. But at the same time,
but then that says a lot.
It still it sends out maybe a different kind of message, but there does need to be this kind of vote with your feet mentality. And if it doesn't suit you and it doesn't align with who you are, then sometimes you've got to go. You've got to stand up and be counted. I
just want to drop this in there. R. Kelly is the greatest escape artist I have ever witnessed in my lifetime. I heard about Houdini, but I wasn't alive. R. Kelly is killing the game as far as escapists. Ridiculous.
I'm hoping.
Do you know what? I'm really surprised that because normally, like when you see, a black man, whether or not he is known or not known, it's highly unlikely that they're able to get away with something. Like any form of criminality, like the law's just gonna come down in your head. However, because when said black man has millions and millions and millions and millions,
can I say it? Can I say the thing is, everything changes if those are white girls.
Cheryl, what did we say on
black
the last show?
Because
we were like,
black
why
victims.
have he not been treated in the same way that Larry Nassar
that
has?
was a bunch of lovely blonde-headed playgirls, Playboy bunnies that are just getting caught under the R. Kelly effect. You would see Saddam Hussein levels of execution. Just so we're clear.
Which is why it kind of like made me smile a little bit when I saw all of these DJs and presenters doing a collective walkout, because what I going back to the R. Kelly thing, and one of the other reasons as to why he's gotten away with it for so long is that the people in the industry
ain't walking out
on R. Kelly. You saw it already in the documentary when T.I.'s own daughter, who is probably prime age for someone like Robert to try and mess with, was like, oh no, if he wants to offer me an opportunity, a deal, I'm taking it. And it's like, the attitude that we have is really bizarre. And also there's this other attitude, those girls are fast. Those girls, they're whores, they're loose, they're this, that. No one's not saying that he's not doing it. They're just saying that the girls are questionable.
It comes back to the whole thing of black women, dark-skinned women, or black women in general, automatically being slid into a position of, well, they must have deserved what they're doing, what they're feel, what they're experiencing. Oh, well, they walked into it. I've had grown men tell me, but look at the legal ramifications, and I have to remind them. I'm saying, let me get this clear. You lot are looking at the law as if the law is relevant to you. No offense, but if that was your friend's daughter, would you be talking about the law?
Exactly.
You would. Let me tell you this now. No law is with my godchildren or with my kids. No law is going to dictate what I'm going to do or whose house I'm walking into. So the idea that everyone's like, oh, you know, well, it's the legal ramifications. I'm like, you lot are ridiculous.
Ridiculous.
You lot are ridiculous.
Absolutely ridiculous.
There was I think one of the main kind of accusers from Radar Radio is she's a former producer, and
That's
she
right.
wrote an entire blog post about her experiences working there. I think she was only there for like maybe 6 months or so.
It was a harrowing 6 months.
Yeah, but obviously going from her blog page, clearly she wasn't having a good time. She actually described them as dickhead DJ dudes, like plurals. So it was more than one.
I salute her. You see, once again, she used her platform. She's a producer, right? But she knows how to blog, and she knew exactly, okay, the media, okay, I'm going to make sure I present my stuff. All of this is available to Maya. All of these platforms is available to her. What's she doing?
Yeah.
So not to come back to her, but I applaud that woman on her using the platform. So some people say to me, recently I've been hearing a lot of people say to me, oh yeah, but just complaining on Instagram or complaining on social media doesn't mean nothing. Yes, it is.
It does, you know.
Actually, it means because...
you know what can I say, Ty? I know that we haven't actually like we haven't like done a interview with you here. We just actually wanted you in as a guest who has views and who talks and is socially aware and is socially conscious, because I follow you on Facebook, and your wall is often a zone for really good discussions. And it comes about because you have the following, because you are a musician, but then you use the platform. And that's that's appreciated.
Yeah, use the platform and then let people talk.
Yeah, there are
don't dictate what people say on your page.
Right.
Let people talk.
There are not that many corners, I find, of social media in particular. I mean, you know, sometimes I have to shake it up a bit and unfollow and mute people and block and
Cheryl
all
does
that kind
Cheryl.
of stuff.
Cheryl does Cheryl.
I can't. Sometimes my timeline is just the other day, somebody, you know, when you like something, so then Twitter puts it onto your timeline. Someone liked something of one of Kanye's tweets. I don't want to hear about Kanye.
Thank you.
So I had to block Kanye, but not because I don't follow him, but I need to block him so
You're
that
not a guru, bro.
Yeah, so if anyone's liking it, it's not. I don't want to hear about it. So going back to the point I'm making is there's not always these corners that we can congregate in and speak in consciously, freely, and honestly with kind of not necessarily like-minded people, but at least equally minded people. People that even if you don't agree with their view, they can articulate it so that you know what it is and you can respond in kind. And that's kind of like why we've got you here. And it is about using that platform that we have.
And I just want to say as well, I think that people romanticize revolution. So it's always like, no, it's got to be like this. And you got to do it like this. And you got to be doing it like... And I look on it like this, right? An army, right? It's got all different types of players in the army. You got the scout, you got the really aggressive guy, you got the defense, you got the person that's throwing the weapons, you got all of these different things. You need all of that. Any approach to anything, you need different people, different shapes, doing different things. So when people suggest that, oh, this is the way it's got to be, and you've got to do it like this, and you're a dickhead for doing it on social media, I'm like, yo, you do realise, I've realised that sometimes I have to start the snowball, and I'm not selfish. I will start the snowball and I will let someone else lead and take it to another level. But I know what my position is. Sometimes I just need to start something, or I need to say something, or I need to shine a light and say, everybody, look at this. Go. Do what you need to do. And I think that that's important. I mean, other people do it. No, I'm not the only person that does that.
Yeah.
But I feel like when people condescendingly suggest that, oh, it's only talk. Rubbish.
Yeah.
I've seen on my page, I might say something, and then all of a sudden people go off and do something.
Yeah.
That's what you needed.
It's kind of similar to obviously what's happened here at Radar. It's like a bunch of, you know, might be one or two people were like, look, I've had enough, okay? And they're like, yeah, actually, we've all had enough. They've had enough too, and they probably were all thinking the same thing within the same time frame that this girl was there at the station, but nobody had the guts to say anything until eventually somebody got fed up, and then it just so happened that, yeah, you know what, we're not having it. And that's how, as you said, that's how revolutions start. It only takes one person,
You don't have to
and then before you
romanticize
know it, everybody's like, I'm on this because I've been going through the same thing. I don't want it anymore.
What we're seeing is people power.
Yeah.
And I think people just don't. We naturally don't believe in our ability to change something. Like we can make Obama do a head spin if we want to. We just have to, do certain things, and that's all it is. It's literally people power. People saying, do you know what? Nah.
So do you think this is a great loss to the music industry as another platform?
No. I don't think
so.
so.
Why?
I think it's a great loss to independent radio platforms, but it's also a great example of how to do it wrong. And it's like
the reason why I say that, because there was an argument that people were saying that, okay, so maybe if they went and spoke to whoever was in charge to probably get this problem,
the Coon effect.
Now is this is the argument. What's happened now?
The Coon effect.
A lot of DJs now don't have a platform to do their music.
Yeah, maybe we should have continued cooning. Got it.
But she did speak to people, and that was part of what she put out. She spoke to people, and it was brushed under the carpet. Sports Direct, then because it's the owner of Sports Direct whose son it is, then got in their HR lawyers to come and do some
jeggery,
lip service.
And we live in the UK, and we are all aware of many platforms or environments where actually, people tell you to come and talk to them, but they're not listening. We live in the UK. The UK shows us this every day. It's showing us this now with this Windrush situation. It's showing us that exactly now. Like, so you lot so you can make a program about Notting Hill Carnival and about how great we are and about how we contributed to and then you can pass this law and then it takes uproar for you to change it. But your job is to preempt us, not to aggravate us.
You're leading.
Not to aggravate us. Your job is to actually say, right, this is what's best for you. You're showing us you don't know what you're doing.
Okay, so I like how you mentioned Windrush.
The segue, you like that.
Love the segue.
Right, all right. You know why. You know why I do this.
That was Damon's special.
You know why. You know why.
Yeah, because I'm the other person that we can come in.
Because I use my platform. You know why I do this.
Exactly. Right. Damon, your spot's being taken right about now. But yeah, we need to talk about Windrush. As you know, the news has been popping off because this government has seen fit to invite people over, take them for everything them have, and then decide, actually, we don't want you here anymore.
There's another element to it that's nasty.
Even though you are British citizens, we're going to take your taxes, we're going to take away your benefits, we're going to even send back your children.
There's another element to it, but I'm going to let this
conversation... Bye.
So I'm gonna let the meat season up a little bit.
Let it season because I've got I've got paprika, I've got garlic, I've got black pepper to fling on this because I'm so disgusted. Never in my life did I ever think that I would have to call my mum to say, "Have you got papers? Have you got all your papers together?" I'm choking up even thinking about it because I'm like,
outrageous.
As I asked my mum, my mum said to me, there would be a video of me on YouTube kicking up and screaming down the place because I'm not going nowhere.
That's right.
Do you understand what I'm saying to you? How dare you, Theresa May and Amber Rudd? Yeah. Who do you think you are?
But let me say what I'm gonna say. I'm gonna drop the bomb here, and I'm just gonna leave it there. This system is working precisely in the way it's been designed.
Okay, that's your bomb?
That's it.
So can I drop my Hiroshima?
Go ahead, darling.
So, the saddest thing for me as an African person is watching how this uproar now, everybody's like, what? Nobody was doing this when they were doing this to us in the 80s. They've been doing this to us. They've been deporting us. And guess what? And listen, here's the thing, what I want everyone to understand. I stand in solidarity with Caribbean people right now. But what I want Caribbean people to know is you didn't stand in solidarity with us when we were getting deported.
Tell the backstory. Because there's going to be people listening to this that aren't aware.
But the backstory is in the 80s, 70s, 80s, a lot of African people that were here were kicked back. A lot of, my brothers and sisters, I am the second youngest. I'm now the oldest because my sisters and brothers died back home because they weren't allowed to bring, even though my parents had papers, they weren't allowed to bring them here.
Right.
There is this energy in regards to how the government has been dealing with us here. That is something that as a black community, we should have all been paying attention to.
So I'm saying, why is everyone shocked?
Everybody's shocked now. And this is the only thing. The saddest thing is I'm watching everybody scramble, and I'm proud of how Caribbean people are scrambling. I'm proud because I'm like, you know what? This is horrible. But the back of my mind, I'm like, yo, I wish you lot had even bothered to observe what was happening with us. Because the same thing was happening with us, but those people are gone. They weren't. They got. In fact, if you think about deportation, deportation has always been about ethnic minorities. We are.
Oh, of course.
So
you think they're talking to the Commonwealth countries called Canada, Australia, and New Zealand?
Right.
You don't hear where they.
Deportation.
Do you know how much Australians live in? Do you know how much of them I work with?
Right.
I will check their papers.
So before, I'm gonna leave that point because I feel like I just want to slip that in there because I feel like at this important time, it's important that everybody realizes that we're being reactionary to a particular situation. But the truth of it is, like you said, this is how they feel about us. Now that you know how they feel about us, it's really important for us to figure out, okay, so what we doing?
That's where I wanted to.
Because my thing is this, because now they're starting to like, you know, give interviews to people who are suffering from this, and then the next day, I've got my passport now, I've got my papers, I've got my this. So now that we've been given that, or a couple of people been given that, are we okay with that now?
That's the question.
Yeah,
because
I'm not cool with it.
So when your landlord tries to trick you out of your yard, even though you've paid your rent and you sort it out, what do? Do you sit back and just
never gonna trust him again?
Do you sit back and just cook another dish and be like, EastEnders is on in half an hour, let's watch it? Or do you start to realise, wow, I might need to move house?
And this is the thing about, that's a very good analogy actually. the move bit, because that's what's in my head. But this is the thing that I still remain shocked at people's
Being
shock.
Yes.
I'm sorry, I still have to drill down on that point.
Yeah.
I am very shocked at people's shock.
People been getting deported.
People been getting deported, but also,
we didn't care
so
then.
when you, not even that you didn't care, even if you didn't know, have you been sitting in this country blinded, even in your lifetime, watching the politics of this country? Have you been blinded by it? These are all components to a puzzle. That's the thing. You see all this stuff about black men dying in police custody in the UK. I'm not talking about US. I'm talking about the high numbers of black people in mental health institutions in this country and being treated for very, very high level mental illnesses. These are all components. The high level of black kids killing each other. These are all components of the same issue of this country oppressing you. So you're living in poverty, you are dealing with the effects of poverty, which always manifest themselves. It doesn't matter where you go. It's not inherent in blackness that there's going to be violence in our communities. It's not, but it is inherent in poverty-stricken situations that you do find a lot of violence. You do find a race towards the bottom. You do find people becoming frustrated, disenfranchised, and turning in on themselves. These are all components of things that this system and structure have done to us. So I don't understand why people are shocked.
Mental
I
health.
don't understand why people haven't joined the dots.
Mental
I
health.
understand why maybe a certain generation is shocked, because you have to understand they've been kind of indoctrinized into a way of thinking about the British Empire. I know that if I go back to Jamaica, the way that they think about Britain is totally not what it is. Like, and I know that the older generation, even the ones that are living here, still very much, you know, that you could consider them royalist. You can consider the fact that they probably think that, you know, Britain is the land of milk and honey, even though they've been living here for X amount of years.
And they don't have no milk or no damn honey.
So much things and all the rest of it. But it's very much ingrained in their mindset. Like, you know, we are part of the Commonwealth. We are, you know, we're part of Britain and blah blah blah, and they're not
We
even
are
disassociating
Britain's
the fact that
black
that
stepchildren.
might be the case, but at the same time, you're still black. Do you understand what I'm saying to you? There's like just a proper disconnect there, and I think that's where the disbelief comes in. So when you've been taught, like, I know that when you go to Jamaica and everything, the Queen is still the head of state. Like, they're like old white people. Like, they've got names like Mavis and Betty.
Yeah.
And like, I know I'm making light of it, but I'm just literally trying to explain to you where this whole shock factor comes in.
Right.
I'm
Some of
supposed to be
Caribbean
of this
culture is actually
country.
English culture.
Yes.
Yeah,
very
no,
much
you're
so.
explaining it well because I'm getting it.
It's very, very, very much like that. Like my mum's uncle, like every Christmas I have to watch the Queen's speech. What? And we're not going to question why.
Yeah.
It's just part of his tradition, and we have to do it.
Yeah.
Right. So as he's an old man and he's the head of our family, we just let it. And I'm just like,
it's half an hour
Jesus.
that you can lose.
Yeah, exactly. But I understand exactly where it comes from, and they're really proud to be part of Britain, because what it means to them and what it actually means are two different things.
So what is this betrayal going to do to that?
Yeah.
It's like I've seen like, a lot of them are heartbroken.
This is a fissure. This is a real break.
Yeah, because it's supposed to be the mother country.
Yeah.
So your mother is literally telling you that's where them baby.
Not even telling you.
Yeah.
Tried to tell you. Tried to leave you a note. Not even send you a WhatsApp. Tried to leave you a note like, yeah, leave now.
I'm done with you.
Here's a trick. If you don't have the right answer, you're out after all of that. It's one of those things that you have to look at. But then I think in general, black and white people are slow to realize that for some reason, black people seem to be at the bottom rung of everybody's story. So whether it's how the Asian community consider black people, and I'm talking the Asian community in whole, I'm not talking about Asian individuals. So I know some people will come back and be like, oh, Ty said something about Asian. I'm saying you can't tell me that the Asian community in general love black people. They don't.
Oh, there's a lot of anti-blackness.
Yeah, but there's anti-blackness in every corner. There isn't any allies. There's anti-blackness in every corner. So to me, if there is anti-blackness in every corner, there's a point where the black people themselves have to realize, what is this? What am I doing wrong? What do I need to do? What do I need to do right?
This is it.
What do I need to? Who is my ally? What am I doing to make sure these allies are really real? Because I personally think that one of the greatest problems we have in the black community is that the Caribbean and African community have not realized that they have to consolidate. But it doesn't mean you have to all of a sudden start making jerk chicken fufu. No, it just means.
Why gotta be that?
I'm just saying.
Heavy combination.
I'm
You
just
eat that,
saying.
you just go straight to sleep.
I'm just saying.
Nothing's getting done.
I'm just saying that realistically speaking, right? If you look at all of us, even in this room, right, we are the new generation or the latest generation of black intellectuals, black individuals that have grown up in England and have realized, not from our parents, have realized from ourselves that we're sisters and brothers. And we interact and work a certain way. Look at your friend circle. Look at your friend circle. You're sisters, but you weren't sisters raised by your parents.
Right.
You've come and realized by experience that actually these are my girls, these are my boys. Okay, what are we doing? And what I'm trying to say is we're still looking at how we're going to survive on the island. We're not willing to say, do you know what?
Fuck that
I need to go and buy some land in Kingston. Can you help me? You need to come and buy some land in Ghana. Let me help you. We're still not doing that. We're still looking at it like, well, as long as Tetley Tea and EastEnders, and as long as I can get a mortgage and I got a nice car and I got my makeup, I'm good. No, you're not. You're not.
That's true, you know.
Why you gotta say makeup though?
So you know what it is?
I know. As I said it, I was like, oh, what was the men thing? First
thing that came into the head. But you know what's even more interesting and just really, really sad? It's like in 2018, this is all popping off, and it's also the 25th anniversary of the death of Stephen Lawrence.
Oh, now that was segue was smooth as hell.
Right.
It was sexy as hell.
That was sexy.
Who put this shit together?
You know, it's just feeling the vibe today.
Sex with chocolate. Sex with chocolate. Woo! All right, let's go.
So we need to talk about Stephen. We need to talk about the legacy of his death. We need to talk about how if anything has changed at all. But given what we've just been talking about, has it really changed?
That
Because
was
it's
my question.
You know, the way that Stephen was treated, the way that the Lawrences were treated, and it would seem the way that the black people throughout, you know, the entire we've been here in this country, as, you know, Windrush is a prime example of that. Ty, you spoke about, you know, Africans being deported in the 80s. It's like, you know,
Spin that.
what I just feel like 25 years later after that moment, we haven't moved anywhere.
That's the thing.
And it breaks my heart, because now we have a Stephen Lawrence Day. What does that mean to you guys?
No. Like literally no.
Oh, that's spitting in the face.
Okay, how so?
Because the institution, right? How are you going to spend money to create a day for Stephen Lawrence when you didn't put the work in to find justice for him?
Thank you.
You didn't. In fact, we've got televised programs showing us just how much you didn't work towards actually solidifying his legacy and finding justice. And now you want to give him a day?
When you say they, who are you referring to?
I'm talking about the government. I'm talking about this institution, the establishment. I'm talking about the police, the state.
The state.
All of them were together. Because if one group was out, then the other should have punished the other group, but they didn't. And when you watch the programs, like we had a conversation, like we actually bonded over a slight disagreement on Facebook, because Cheryl was like, you know, Stephen Lawrence Day, we need to, you know, Stephen's program, people need to watch it. And I came in, I was like, well,
I didn't even know it was a disagreement. Were we disagreeing?
babe, I was just dressing it up. Of course, it wasn't a disagreement. It's a podcast.
That was such a smooth disagreement, though. I was like,
it wasn't a disagreement at all. But I was dressing it up for the podcast.
Oh right.
For the
Oh
listeners.
sorry. Okay, yeah. Oh my god, it was weighty. It was weighty.
Don't mind her.
Sorry.
Carry
You know
on,
what?
Ty. Carry
Like I
on.
said, makeup.
This one, you know. Right.
That's
Thank
why I
you.
said makeup.
Thank you.
Right.
I don't know why I have her around, but
God damn it. Damn it.
Messed up so bad.
I was
so smooth.
trying to be so
Ruined
smooth,
it.
but no. Anyway, the point I'm making is we had a conversation about the documentary, which was very good. I recommend everybody go and watch that. I wasn't going to watch it because I've read the Dwayne Brooks book, and I felt like the Dwayne Brooks book showed me a different way to view this whole thing. And then I ended up watching the documentary, and I'm glad I watched it. And what I'm gleaning from watching it is watching that program and watching the systematic failure by the state to do the right thing, and to now give Stephen Lawrence a day. You're really taking the piss. Where's Smiley Culture Day? Like where's Roland Adams Day?
It's all platitudes. It's platitudes
ridiculous.
and lip service.
Do you think that this
puppet
day
shows.
was given simply because they wanted to take the edge of the Windrush story?
I think they wanted to take an edge off the program. I think this particular program was the most damning, because by stages it showed you the level of tomfoolery that was happening in regards to how the police, like, how can 16 years later a police officer have an idea like, I know what, I'm gonna do this, and that particular officer was doing what everyone should have been doing in the beginning.
Is that the one that was? Oh no! I thought you were referring to the police officer who said, "Oh, you know, Doreen Lawrence was just standing there smiling with a gimmick." Or
no, she doesn't smile at all. She never smiled once.
Yeah.
I mean, that's
Smile
a
for
gimmick,
what?
isn't it?
Smile for what?
My son's dead,
and then
but
he
you
kicked
want
my
me to
TV
smile.
over when he said that. I was like, "Is this man mad?"
The Dwayne Brooks book, I implore people to read that, because when you read the book, you're going to watch, you're going to look at everything that you saw and look at it differently, because what the Dwayne book shows you is you remember watching the Stephen Lawrence scenario. Why was Dwayne never there? Why? He's the survivor of the actual thing. Why was he never in the why? You've never seen a picture of Dwayne and Doreen standing together or talking together. That tells you a lot.
Well, it does.
It says a lot.
Yeah. I went to see it on a preview, as you know, and I came away with a number of thoughts about it. That guy that spoke, the officer that you're talking about, I think he's an ex-officer now, but he was a Detective Sergeant Mellish, who spoke about the gimmick of not smiling, who spoke about just a number of things that really should concern anybody, because that officer was the officer who was charged to lead the second investigation. So that kind of tells you what we're dealing with. Yeah. But I'm glad that you really enjoyed it, because I, enjoyed might be the wrong word, but I really felt as though that program did a lot of justice, to excuse the pun, and I really had to. I said that to the executive producer and the director that was there, because I asked a kind of few, knowing me, tough questions about it, and it's about what you've asked. The title is Stephen, the Murder That Changed a Nation. Yeah. What's changed? I said, that's a bold title. That's a bold assertion to make. What's changed? You haven't changed anything. So going back to what we're talking about, I feel as though that's why that we don't need a Stephen Lawrence Day. What we need is for you to have really taken on board your as failures. A state your failures. They were set out in literal chapter and verse in the McPherson report. Why are these things still happening today? No. So what are you giving us day? Right. So why are you giving us Stephen Lawrence Day?
Yeah, let's have that
day.
This
is no disrespect, because I know that I saw it on the news that Neville, not Lawrence in particular, was delighted with it, and I'm sure Doreen Lawrence is as well. This is no disrespect.
That's no disrespect or slight to him. Right? But he would be. I would be happy if my child that was killed, people decided to, or the whole country decided to honour. But this isn't about what they're happy about. This is because Stephen Lawrence also happened to us. Like, he's our legacy too. Yeah,
it's still happening.
He's our legacy, and we're very proud of Stephen, not for dying, but for what he stood for, what his death and what the fight that Doreen Lawrence had, what it stood for. We're very happy for that, but we are not silly. And the problem with this situation is you are placating us by giving us a day. What you need to do is acknowledge that you failed, acknowledge that you willingly failed, and that you're going to try harder and you're going to try to be more transparent in the future. Give me that day.
Yeah, I want take that day any day.
Any day of the week.
Right?
Oh dear, it's a lot. Anyway, so let's lighten the mood a little bit. So did you guys see Miss Beyonce bouncing all the way?
Do you know what? I only saw it
Baychella.
I only saw it on social media. I couldn't bother to go back and watch
listen, it was so good. It was amazing.
Yeah, the bits that I saw on social media were.
Yeah. Can I say that? I have a particular view of Beyonce, and my view of Beyonce is this. Yeah, she smashes everything.
Yeah.
There's never been a scenario where she didn't smash it. But what's happened lately, right, is that there was a moment for her where she realized she reached a certain level and now she can say stuff. I think, from what I saw, the Kendrick Lamar performance on the police cop car at one of the BET Awards,
BET.
Right?
That was one of my favourite performances.
And the one where he's in chains.
Yeah.
I think she's seen that and realised, you know what? I can do this now. And because remember,
was that before or after Super Bowl?
That was before Super Bowl.
Yes.
It was before.
Yeah.
I'm chronologically watching it. Everything changed after she realised, you know what, I can use my platform. So Beyonce's been using her platform, and what she did.
Her performance was very black. Very black.
It was very black magic. So to me, Beyonce
on one of the whitest platforms ever.
Beyonce
Kind of problematic platform as
Beyonce
well.
is
Yeah.
no
If you
longer
dig
just
into it.
black.
Yeah.
Beyonce is she's becoming what Michael Jackson and them guys work towards becoming, which is she's just a phenomenon.
Glad you mentioned Michael, because it's another segue.
But,
So-
but I don't want us to, even if she is becoming that, that performance, if we dig into the components of it, I know we're going to move on, but was very, very, very black.
Oh, it was
It was.
just like everything from the crunking to the, you know, the marching bands
Yeah.
to just,
But
you know, her
I
new
think
southern roots,
but-
just everything.
But I think once again, right, she's the sum of all parts, right? So I as much as she slam dunked it, I'm saying all of those people beforehand that went before her that became excellent have allowed her the actual ability to
do that.
I've allowed her to pump up her shoulder pads to a certain level where she's like, yo, I can really do this. And that's what I'm really happy about. I'm not looking at Beyonce as some sort of monolith person that came out of nowhere and is just incredible. I'm like, yo, you are really the torch is with you, and you understand that. You
And
understand
you're taking it, you're
you
carrying
understand
on.
your responsibility at this level on this platform to really hammer this home, even though there'll be elements where some white people will be like, what is this? I'm not comfortable. She's like, well, you love me, don't you? Well, then learn this then. And that's platform. That's using your platform.
platform.
And going back to what we said originally, use your platform.
Yeah.
You can't be scared. Once you're there, use it.
That's what you're
Use
doing.
it.
That's what's going on.
But you mentioned MJ. So obviously, you know, Beyonce, if you like, is the millennials generation's, you know, Michael Jackson. So on Twitter, people were comparing, like,
Which is unfair.
who's the greatest? And I always think to myself,
It's
first of
unfair.
all, you're right. It's totally unfair. Secondly, the way that people consumed music when Michael was the MJ that we is totally entirely
It's a
different.
corny argument.
And I just think, why do we always do this? And it always seems to be coming from a space of, you know, black artists, black people. We only do this to one.
With
I don't
ourselves.
see people,
you don't
whoever's
see
rock icon.
You
that
don't see
doesn't
nobody
happen.
telling Tom Jones, well, he's the new Tom Jones. No, Tom Jones is Tom Jones. Elton John is Elton John. Elvis is Elvis.
And they're allowed to kind of like be who they are in their
Lulu.
own little space.
Lulu is Lulu. Nobody's making Adele look
Oh,
like
do you remember
Lulu.
Lulu?
Yeah, she's so cute in it.
I know. It's so
Cilla Black is Cilla Black. Do you get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
There's always space. It's only the problem is with us is that we don't really realize that our conveyor belt is so narrow in regards to how much access we have. So there used to be a time in the music industry where it used to be every year they would only have one or two black people that could share the space with Take Five, Take That, and all those people. So one year it was Beverly Knight, another year it was oh my goodness, Emanate. Then another year.
remember
Do you see what I'm
Emanate?
saying? Right? Good for the grime generation because they kind of broke things open a little bit and
Yeah.
they're doing what they're doing, but there's still this narrow conveyor belt where it can only be Tiny Temper or it can only be Skepta or it can only be blah blah blah, and we suffer from that. And I think we have, like I said earlier, we have to change the narrative. We have to identify it and then blow it up and say no, that we're not going with that.
Right.
So, you know, I think with these narratives of suggesting that this person, we have to blow up and say this is rubbish. This is nonsense. You know what I mean? Diana Ross never had this problem. Diana Ross shouldn't have this problem. Do you know what I mean?
At all. So weird. Like I was debating with Rance. Hi Rance, hope you're listening. Rance and Abance, I'm not sure if you're aware of him,
Yeah, I'm
but
aware
he
of him.
was a guest on our show, and
Yeah,
I
I'm
think
aware of
when
him.
people were tweeting, you know, he was like, having a back and forth with somebody else about Beyonce and Michael Jackson. So I had to interject, and I just said, look, as somebody who has had the full Beyonce concert experience, and I've also had the full MJ concert experience, what you lot are doing right now is asinine. Trust me. I've been in that audience, but in the Michael Jackson concert audience, and let me tell
It's a
you,
different thing.
no, you will never experience anything. I don't think Beyonce could even reach to that, and that's not to say anything about her ability as a performer. She is incredible. But when MJ took to that stage, I don't know one other performer that can stand there for like 3 to 4 minutes, not move, and 30% of the audience have literally passed out. That and all those edits that you see of MJ doing that's actually, it's not even edits, that's real.
Also to add to that is when you look at MJ in his prime, I've never seen an artist like him that has this effect on children.
Yes.
Children that are not even born in his era. You put an MJ video onto a baby.
Don't tell my nephew that MJ ain't the best thing since sliced bread.
They're good.
He died when my nephew's 9 now. He died when he was 2.
And he knows about it.
He knows Billie Jean, Thriller, Auntie Lorraine.
Play
Brown.
your discography of
Right.
Michael Jackson. Put that
Back
video
to back.
in to children, and you're not gonna have no problems.
That's it. All right, kids.
You
MJ Day.
can't,
Yay!
you can't do that with Beyonce just yet.
Not just yet.
Because
You definitely can't. Beyonce's got bare skippables.
But also, we shouldn't be comparing her anyway.
We shouldn't, honestly. Like, she's an incredible. What she did at Coachella, Baychella, is hers now.
But like I said, she is the recipient of the torch.
Yes.
She was never running in the same race, but side by side. She has the torch now from what him and James Brown have done. So let's and what Prince has done. Prince, very important. So it's good that let her run. Like let Beyonce live for real. Like
be free.
And also let Beyonce live, especially as look what's going on with her and her life with Jay-Z and the example that they are becoming. They're becoming quite a great example. Like they had their rocky patch, but actually you're looking at what they're doing, and like Beyonce's effect on Jay-Z is incredible.
Yeah.
That last
He's
album.
changed 444.
That last album.
Yeah.
Some of the stuff he said, I was like, this is what I'm talking about. This is growth. So
Growth.
It's taking you to about mid-40s, Jay, but you got there. Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
But anyway, we need to finish up with our last two, which is Shady Corner versus You Are the Light. So is anybody, I don't know if you're aware of Shady Corner. So basically,
I'm all ears.
it's anything or anyone that you think you just want to literally just rant on about how ridiculous or just outrageous. I know we've been talking about a lot of things that have been going on this week, but this is your opportunity to maybe just pick out something
in Shady Corner
and just fling them in there.
Can I let you lot go and then I pick up on it? I'm sure it'll help me.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
Shezza?
I don't know if I've got anyone for Shady Corner. I
Really?
just feel like I'm becoming a better person.
Ah.
Like, I don't want to shade anybody.
Oh my God.
Let me
Wow.
think. Who do I want to put in Shady Corner? Shady Corner. Do you know what? I don't want to put. I've got so many people I want to put into the light though.
Oh,
Okay.
really?
Yeah.
I'll do the Shady Corner. You'll probably, I don't know if you've watched it. Did you watch Housewives Atlanta reunion? The final part.
Oh,
Kim Zolciak.
my gosh.
Get into the corner
Oh my
because
god.
this is what we talk about
Peak
when we talk about
Beckery.
white privilege. And the fact that you can come on a TV show and make statements about the fact that racism isn't real simply because you're just an idiot. And you're an idiot because you lie through your teeth, you lie when the lie is being played out in front of you, in front of people, and because you can't take it, because black women are telling you about yourself, you go run in the corner, in the bathroom rather, with your salty tears, talking about, oh, racism wasn't real until social media came about. Like, what? What are you talking
All
about?
those women owe the whole world an apology.
It was the most ridiculous thing
Oh,
I've
it was
ever seen. And I'm like,
sad.
even Andy was like looking at her like, no.
It was sad.
No, babe. No, babe. No.
It was so
It was
sad.
awful. And I've just thought, and the thing is, Nene said it before, and I always take everything that she says with a pinch of salt because they hate each other anyway. And she was like, no, you got some racist ways about you. And I was like,
The thing
But
is,
then-
but Nene's new woke though. Because
Right.
Nene, that was your mate before. You were riding
exactly,
with
you
her.
were riding with her. But clearly she saw something in Kim and she put it out there. And Kim, you just expose yourself.
Can I make a confession? I've never watched that program.
Oh,
Don't.
Housewives.
Never watched
Oh,
one.
you should
I
definitely.
know
watch
who
the-
Nene is because
Yeah.
of the memes.
Yeah.
I know who certain people. I know who Kim Zolciak is.
Yeah.
But I have never sat down to watch it.
Listen,
But
if you
before
watch it-
before I try and act like I'm holier than thou, I have done that with the Braxtons. I've done it with Love and Hip Hop.
Me watched it, yeah.
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 So I have watched
So you're aware.
I'm aware of some of the buffoonery.
Oh, we're gonna have to
on
have you
television.
back to do our reality rundown
Yeah,
with us.
because you'd be
we
like,
do.
I have my shady.
You're already there, so you understand. So yeah, so mine is just Kim Zolciak because
Yeah, she's definitely
I
got.
can see why you would think that racism doesn't exist, because when you're that vacuous and very self-absorbed, nothing else outside that bubble is a reality. You live on reality TV, which is fake as hell. So therefore, you can make statements like that.
Yeah.
So yeah,
My shady corner, the person that I wish absolute badness on.
Oh wow!
And I wish for them to fall heavily on their nose bridge is R. Kelly.
Yeah, standards.
I'm sorry, I've had enough.
We're backing you.
We've all had enough.
I've had enough, and I'm gonna say this now. I watched that video. He definitely pissing on her.
Oh God.
He definitely pissing. It's definitely him, right? So the thing about R. Kelly is, I am really watching what money can make people kind of get a little bit distant with him. I'm not sure if I saw a ghost or whether I didn't see a ghost. R. Kelly's a problem. R. Kelly is holds the same space for me that Tim Westwood holds.
Oh Lord of His mercy!
But I can't have two.
In fact, he's got.
You can have
I'm
as
gonna.
many
No,
as you
I'll
want.
make him.
Huh?
I
You
will
can have
make.
as many as you want.
I will put Tim in shady corner. I saw some post. Ugh, it was it.
Was it when he had some girls?
No,
oh,
no.
okay.
He was sitting there with, what do you call those things? A shredder. And he was feeding his so-called bank cards in it. And you know the first thing he said has got to go. This is how you know that you people have let this man in
You've
to
endorsed
just
him.
start talking any kind of mess. So the first thing that's got to go is buying weaves. Talking about as a guy.
Right, okay.
So this is what he's gonna stop doing. He's gonna stop buying weaves. He's gonna stop. I can't even remember the rest of it.
Yeah.
So if you're calling it, you're not calling it extensions now. You're not calling it Brazilian bonding.
Yeah, you're basically
calling
saying-
you're talking about black girls. You're talking about black girls again.
Sponging.
This is what's happened.
Black girl sponging.
It's just rubbish. When I saw that, and then listen, I saw some blue ticks, you know. I saw some blue ticks in the comments with their laughy faces. I said, look at you buffoons. Buffoons. Big time buffoon. In fact, go and join him.
Westwood is
Biggest
one of the most.
buffoon.
He's one of the most celebrated, most endorsed, poisonous
Right?
things that we have going on in the music industry in the UK. Poisonous, and I'm saying it because I don't care. I don't want to get played on his radio show. I don't care if he vetoes me being playlisted anywhere. Tim Westwood is a problem.
He's a problem, and
he's-
people need to face up to
and
it.
This is. I'm going to say it. I'm going to say it now.
LOLing with
I'm going
him.
to say it now so that people come back to this. Tim Westwood is the same level of problem, right, that Jimmy Savile was before people realised it. So Jimmy Savile was. Everyone was like, oh, people was like, oh, but you know. And then when it all came out, not one of you could say nothing. I'm telling you now. Tim Westwood occupies that space, and you are all caping for him, and you don't realize what you're caping for. People have died behind him. Say nothing more.
Ugh. Shady
Wow,
corner.
Shady
More
Corner
than-
is packed to the brim this
than.
week, man. My goodness. Tim, I hope your ears are on fire. Are we going to bring anyone into luck? Because I like to end the show on a light note. Like, is there anybody out there that you feel like needs to like just be celebrated, or just something that's just popped up that you think, you know what? We need to talk about this because this is an amazing thing that nobody knows. This one.
You know my
Brain
brain
freeze?
is So
Yeah,
no, I'm
utter
just
brain. The thing is, when we,
loose
it's like, oh, I forgot, and it's really bad because it's like we tend to remember the negative more than the positive, and I'm just very much like,
I'm gonna bring up a group. I'm gonna bring up a group. There's a group called Children of Zeus.
right, Children of Zeus. Tell us about
From
them.
Manchester, who are a group that is a singer and a rapper, but both the singer and the rapper can rap, and they're making some heavy soul music right now, and it's soul hip hop, and they're really doing good. And the fact that they're from out of London, and all of a sudden now they're blowing up even outside of their city, I really celebrate those kind of things, because I think that we've been too London centric about everything.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
We're very like, if it's, unless it's from us, it doesn't mean if they've got funny accents. I think we need to be way more international. We got to be way more international about our talent pool. And I think that as Londoners as well, we need to recognise that people are great outside of our circles, and Children of Zeus are a group that I think everybody should watch out for.
How can people like get to see their music? Is it on YouTube?
It's on YouTube. They're just releasing videos, new stuff.
And what do they do? Hip hop, soul?
It's hip hop, soul. It's Tyler has a voice to die for. So a lot of people are falling in love with his voice, and he just looks like a regular b-boy sort of guy, but he's singing. Like Goldie snapped him up, put him on an album. Loads of people snapping him up. You know, Jazzy Jeff is going wild, crazy about them. They're really doing something, and it's just nice because it's just good music. It's not it's UK hip hop or it's blah blah blah. I have an album out, new album by the way. We haven't spoken about it, but that's a good thing. So that's happening. But I also want to pass the love on, like Children of Zeus. Watch.
Tell us the name of your album, Ties.
The name of the album is called Work of Heart. It's released on Jazz Refreshed and it's doing really well. And I have 3 songs. One song called Brixton Baby, which is celebrating Brixton, gentrification and all of that. Another song called Eyes Open, which features Dirty Goods on there. Right. So he's doing great things on that. And the 3rd song I have is called Somehow, Somewhere, Some Way, and it features the Last Poets, who are, you know, if you know who the Last Poets are, like they're the guys that began rap. So it's looking good. It's a great album. People are saying it's my best work, so I really like for high five. You like high fiving me, but you ain't got it. So yeah. Anyway, I know that. So anyway, I feel like this is a great time for independent music, and I also want to say that thank you for having me. And for some reason, I'm noticing right, it's the black women that are asking me to be on their podcasts. I'm noticing that. So big up to Jam Nice and Cheryl with their part. I really noticed
Tea and Biscuits.
Tea and Biscuits. Big up to them. Big up to Mad News. But also big up to yourselves, and thank you for having me. And hopefully,
it's a pleasure, man.
Yeah,
definitely. I had to get you on. I was like, Ty is about it. He's got something to say. So as long as anyone's got anything to say, and
there's loads of people got stuff to say.
Yeah, like we'll have them on the show for sure.
Sure. So I want to put into the light. Anyway, I know that this dude is in glorious light right now, so I want to put Victor into the light. Our lost podcasting brother from
Cut the Chat.
I was gonna say two chats in the mic. From Cut the Chat. In fact, Ace, I think I want to put all of you lot into the light, because your friendship with Victor, as personified and as spoken about in all the podcasts, but especially the last one that you guys put out, was really the kind of like touching. Don't look at me, Ace, because I'm going to start crying. Was really, really, really touching.
Yeah.
And really, especially just wanting to focus for a moment on Victor. Like, I've known Victor for a good little while, but not like as long as some people for. Like, it's not been tens of years. It's been years, but it's not been tens of years. And everything that people have said about him on you guys' show and on social media and wider is just it's so repetitive, but it's so true.
Yeah.
He really went for it. That's just the easiest way for me to say it. He really went for it, and you could tell that from him, just from his energy. And so just for that reason, I think that's such a positive thing to take away that's a positive thing to have as his legacy. And it's definitely impacted on me, just to kind of like go for it more. Less sleep.
Definitely.
Less sleep.
Yeah.
more do. Less naps. More
be
do.
Like Victor.
Right? No, just phone me up and say, what would Victor do?
Be like Victor. No, seriously, what would Victor do? No, I definitely echo your sentiments, Cheryl. Victor, you're going to be sorely missed, but definitely not forgotten. Yeah, man, he gave us some moments.
Remember the bench press?
The bench press outside was hilarious. Picky Lips Night, as we called it. Just a lot. Like when I met Victor like years ago, and he tricked me into being in Venus versus Mars.
Oh yeah, I remember that.
I thought I was gonna have like a proper background role, and then he's sending me scripts. Him and Babby tricked me, but it was a really good experience, and I never forgot it. And he's always been like just super, just hey, like open and just lovely, and just an amazing person. So Ace, have all the tickets sold out for his event?
Nah,
there's still some left. So guys, we're having a get together in honor of Victor. You got to wear something purple. So now I got to dig around in my wardrobe now. So I'm purple,
all of that, you know,
because he like purple.
Gosh.
And it's gonna be where at Proud Embankment. So you can get your tickets from Eventbrite. So just go there. It's gonna be a good night. We're gonna remember Victor and send him off in the way that I know that he would absolutely love. So this has been Two Girls and a Mic featuring Ty today. So thanks again for listening. We will be back next week with another topical show. We out.
Peace.